Isang mapagpalang umaga po sa ating lahat, sa lahat ng kapatiran ng ating iglesia sa Malolos Heights United Methodist Church. Sa umaga pong ito, tayo magsama-sama sa pagbubulay-bulay ng salita ng ating Panginoon. Ito ang ikatlong linggo ng pagkabuhay na maguli ng ating Panginoong Jesus or third Sunday of Easter. At sa umaga pong ito ating pagbubulay-bulayan ang mga talata na matagpuan po natin sa Ebanghelyo ayon kay San Lucas, Kabanatang 24, talatang 13 hanggang talatang 35. Ito po yung kwento ng paglalakad ng dalawang alagad ng ating Panginoong Hesus pagkatapos ng mga pangyayari sa lugar ng Jerusalem na kung saan ang ating Panginoong Hesus ay pinarusahan, pinako sa krus, namatay, at may balita na siya'y muling nabuhay buhat sa mga patay pagkatapos ng 3 araw. Ang dalawang ito ay naglalakad patungo sa lugar ng Emmaus at ang kanila pong damdamin ay puno ng kalungkutan dahil sa mga pangyayari. At sa mga sitwasyong iyon, ang ating Panginoong Hesus ay napakita sa kanila, sinamahan sila hanggang makarating sa kanilang pupuntahan. At sa kanilang pagkasalo-salo ay nabuksan ang mata noong dalawang alagad na ito. At nakita nila at naramdaman nila, naranasan nila ang presensya ng ating Panginoong Hesus. Dali-dali sila ay bumalik sa Jerusalem at doon ay nakipagkita muli sa mga alagad at ibinahagi ang kanilang naranasan. Sa umaga pong ito, nais ko po kayong aniyahan sa atin pong pagbubulay-bulay na pinamagatan ko pong Open My Eyes, Lord. Buksan mo, Panginoon, ang aming mga mata. Tayo po ay sumandaling manalangin. Dakilang Panginoon, salamat po sa pribilehiyo na kami ay muling makapagbubulay-bulay ng inyong mga salita sa araw na ito at patuloy niyo kaming samahan sa loob ng aming mga tahanan o sa anman kami naroon ngayon. Ikaw, Panginoon, ang mangungusap sa amin sa magitan ng inyong mga salita at magiging malinaw po sa amin ang inyong inspirasyon at ang inyong mga panukala sa aming buhay sa araw na ito. Sa pangalan ni Kristo Jesus na aming Panginoon. Amen. Amen. Opening of eyes in the Bible is almost always related to the issue of faith. I remember two instances where this principle was visibly manifested. First, in the Old Testament, we will read in 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 8 to 23, about the story of Prophet Elijah and his servant, where his servant seen the Bassyrian army that would attack them because of Prophet Elisha's vision that always hindered the Syrian king to capture Israel. Early that morning, when Elisha's servant went out in the house, he saw the Syrian army surrounding them. Elisha's servant was so frightened. He practically shouted that they are doomed. Natakot po yung katuwang o katulong ni Elisha at sinabing sila ay nanganganib dahil napapaligiran na sila ng Syrian army. At dahil sa ganoong damdamin, dali-dali ay pumunta siya kay Elisha at doon ay sinabi yung kaniyang nakita. But Elisha's reaction was quite surprising to his servant. He just calmly admonished his servant not to be frightened. He prayed to God that the eyes of his servant be open. And behold, the servant's eyes were open, and he saw the hillside covered with horses and chariots of fire around Elisha. This was an issue of faith for the servant of Elisha. He was so overwhelmed with the problem that he lost sight of God and his power. The only thing that was able to rekindle his vision of God was to pray and to see through faith. The same story goes with the story of Jesus healing the blind man in John chapter 9, verse 1 to 12. The story is all about the man born blind and was healed by Jesus after sending him into the pool of Siloam to wash his eyes. That was rubbed by Jesus with mud. He returned with his eyes opened. The whole lesson of the story is to demonstrate God's power so that people may believe and have faith in God. Basically, in these two stories, my reflection is it tells a story about eyes being opened and being open not only of seeing the word around us, but having faith to see beyond what is in the word. This is also the principle, I believe, that we will find in Luke chapter 23, or 24 rather, verse 13 to 35. It is the story that I have told you earlier about the two disciples walking along the road of Emmaus. In our text this morning, there were two disciples of Jesus walking along this road. They were talking about what had happened in Jerusalem, what had happened to their teacher. Jesus appeared and accompanied them in the walk. But what really strikes me in verse 16, it says, "But their eyes were kept from recognizing Him." Doon po sa magandang balita, Biblia, ganito po ang sinasaad. Ngunit siya'y hindi nila nakilala na para bang natatakpan ang kanilang mga mata. Imagine this. They were talking for hours about Jesus, but when Jesus appeared to them, they were not able to recognize them or recognize Him. You see, many times, because of our situation, we tend to focus more on the problem rather than seeing the way God moves in our lives. Another reflection in this story is that because they didn't saw what God is doing, they tend to walk away from God's plan. They were going outside of Jerusalem, away from the continuing works of God for His people. This is really the issue to most of us. The truth is, we are not really walking away on God's calling and His ministry because of the problems and struggles we faced, but we walk away and wandered away primarily because we tend to lose sight of God and His plans. Brothers and sisters, let me ask you about this question. Are you being overwhelmed by the problems we are facing now? Are you seeing what God is doing for you and for other people? How do you respond in seeing God's plan? First, let us talk about situations. For the two disciples, it was a cruel and hopeless situation. They followed Jesus in His ministry. They were amazed of how Jesus taught and led people back again to God. He spoke with power and authority. Never in their lives they have seen the wonderful works of God being manifested. He did lot of miracles, miracles that inspires and led people to be transformed. He spoke directly to the heart of people and they were encouraged. Multitudes follow him. The scribes and religious leaders were alarmed because they have seen the fast growth of Jesus' following. But not only that people are now beginning, but not only that, but people are now beginning to question their authority. However, these were things of the past. Their situation now is gruesome. They witness how their teacher leader was sentenced to death, how the ruling class conspired and his life and his movement. They saw the punishment he received, the carrying of the cross, the crucifixion, until he died. They have all reason to be down and depressed. They have all the reason to walk away because now they have no leader to lead them. I was watching the press conference of our nation's leader yesterday. I appreciate what our president and his cabinet are doing to address the problem we are all facing now. But somehow, I still felt the gloominess and uncertainties of the future. The situation, our situation, is getting tougher. The virus is still flourishing. People are not following. Cases are increasing. Vaccine is still not available. Finances are down. Corruption in subsidies distribution is being reported. Cash assistance received is being used for vices, while quarantine is still being extended. In our place, in this place of Luzon, or in Bulacan, province of Bulacan, the quarantine extend until May 15. So this situation really gives us the tougher situation, tougher condition of life that we are in. But you see, despite of all this, let us see God's plan and His ways working above this situation. Maybe most of us is wondering and asking this question, does God knows or does He cares about our situation? In our text, I would say that God cares. He cares about our situation. He knows and sees what we are going through. And He definitely has a plan for us. The two disciples walked along the road going to Emmaus miserable. But Jesus walked alongside with them. In verse 15 it says, while they were walking and discussing, Jesus Himself came near and went with them. Sa magandang balita Biblia, habang sila'y nag-uusap, lumapit si Jesus at nakisabay sa kanila. After the resurrection, Jesus appeared in several instances. He appeared to a sole person, Mary Magdalene. He appeared to a group, the disciples at the room. Now He appeared to the two disciples. This reinforces my thought that Jesus cares for everyone. Everyone matters to Jesus. He listens to their sentiments and admonishes them of the hope He gives. Before and after Jesus' death, God's plan is being worked out. The kingdom of God, more than ever, is here and now. Jesus walked with His disciples to open their eyes, to have absolute faith to what God is doing for the world. Jesus intently explained to them the prophecy written by the prophets to have faith. In verse 25 to 27, ganito po yung sinasabi. Kay hahangal ninyo, Kay kikupad ninyong maniwala sa lahat ng sinasabi ng mga propeta. Hindi ba't kailangan ng Kristo ay magtiis ng lahat ng ito bago siya pumasok sa kaniyang kaluwalhatian at ipinaliwanag sa kanila ni Jesus ang lahat ng sinasabi sa kasulatan tungkol sa kaniya, simula sa mga aklat ni Moises hanggang sa mga sinulat ng mga propeta. Our situation today is not apart from God's plan for our lives and for the whole world. I will not dwell on the origin of this situation that we are now in today, but what I would like to emphasize is that God, in His marvelous ways, continue to accomplish His plan above all what we are experiencing now. I have seen and observed the powerful spreading of God's Word. John Wesley, the pioneer of Methodism, after he was banned in preaching of the Word inside the church, said, "The Word is my parish. Let God's Word be heard to all nations." I have also observed families being reunited again. Children are being instructed in the homes to do chores and learn the lesson of responsibility. Everyone are learning the value of patience, kindness, and humility. I have seen simple people give and share what they have to those who are in need. Companies and businessmen are learning that life is not all about money and profits, for it can easily be taken away. I have seen the earth. The only place that we live in is healing itself. How the skies becomes more clearer, how the birds can now fly freely, return to their original sanctuary, how the trees of the forest rest of being cut down. I have seen the going back into basic of people caring for their health. People are now learning to plan, to eat healthy, to live organically. There are so many things that we can see how the Lord make His plan work. But in all this, we need to acknowledge His ways. Like Jesus, He walks with His disciples. This I believe God is doing now to us. He walks with us, encouraging us, inspiring us to look beyond what we are experiencing now. He is admonishing us to open our eyes. That's why we need to respond. What will be our response? The disciple, after breaking bread with Jesus, had their eyes opened. Nang siya'y kasalo na nila sa pagkain, dumampot siya ng tinapay, nagpasalamat sa Diyos, pagkatapos pinagpira-piraso niya iyon at ibinigay sa kanila. Noon nabuksan ang kanilang mga mata at nakilala nila si Jesus. Subalit siya'y biglang nawala sa kanilang paningin. Their eyes were opened. They felt the joy in their hearts, that joy that they longed for. They got up and went back to Jerusalem and met with other disciples and told them what they had experienced. They shared what they have witnessed about Jesus. That's why this morning I would like to leave to you some lessons that we can learn from this story. First, don't walk away. Don't walk away. Second, in times of troubles, Jesus walks with us and listens to us. The third lesson, Jesus reminds us of who we are and what we are for. Kung sino tayo at para saan ang ating buhay. Jesus helps us to open our eyes to the greater plan of God. And the last, to go back and be an inspiration to others. Brothers and sisters, there are many things in our time today that will blind our eyes to see God and His plans. I urge and challenge you now. Walk with Jesus and He will open your eyes. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.